Welcome back once again here, everyone. Now, Miss Marvel just ended. If you've seen my videos, you know my thoughts on that series. I didn't like it at all. No matter how much you try to spin it to say it was this and this, that and the other. I thought had they tried to better develop this character, actually try to make it their own, something could have been done. I mean, changing her powers, the energy constructs and thing. I don't know, some people thought it was an interesting way and a cool way to go. I thought it just looked silly because they didn't do anything really interesting at all with it. Most of the time were just giant fists and creating platforms to run on and stuff. Was supposed to have her powers from a djinn or something like that. And I thought maybe that if they had gone with that angle early on and kind of set it up to say like, okay, maybe it was some Inhumans who had developed this power and they traveled to another dimension or something like that, and some kind of conflict occurred, and that's where she might have got love. You could have tried and work it some way into it, or somehow to try and make it seem like some kind of cosmic entity or something like that. Now, something I passed down in her genes, something to really say, something to build up the show from the get-go. Maybe, but they didn't do that. They didn't stick with that plan too long. Then they moved on to the end where they tried to introduce her as the first mutant in the MCU, and I thought that was just ridiculous because for me, X-Men way too big to be saddled with that, so it just didn't work for me. And with the Marvels coming up now, since Brie Larson and Captain Marvel can't stand on her own two legs because in the comics Captain Marvel is a character that's not liked at all, and now you want to give her a second movie that she can't stand on, so you decide to bring in Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, and Monica Rambeau. And they did Monica Rambeau dirty in MCU. They really have. They introduced her in WandaVision and they really did her dirty. But that was just a downplay on a character that could have been a character that was more interesting that they could have built on, but they didn't. So anyway, according to Cosmic Book News, Brie Larson, Too Skinny, the Marvel So Silly, says Insider. Now this is from YouTuber Grace Randolph, so sometimes, she does get stuff good, but take it a little pinch of salt. But the way that, the MCU is going lately, it's probably okay to try and leave some of this. Says she heard the Marvel's movie is as silly as James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy, because why not? Why not? Now, as they say about you Too Skinny here, this is the scene here where she appeared at the end of Ms. Marvel. Nobody was talking about it. Nobody really interested in it. And I honestly, to myself, and I saw the clip. I didn't watch the rest of the series. I only watched 2 episodes, and that was it for me. But I saw this clip, and I must say, I did find she looked really thin. So maybe she needs to bulk up for the upcoming movie, something like that, because she really did look too thin in this for my liking. Okay, Brie Larson is said to look too much like a skinny supermodel than a superhero, and it's claimed that the Marvels, aka Captain Marvel 2, is as silly as James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy, which follows the super silly movie from Taika Waititi with Thor Love and Thunder. Now, Thor Love and Thunder was a horrible movie. Absolute clown fest. Every second in that movie had to be some bloody laugh, giggle, glad, hee, all kind of nonsense that made no sense whatsoever. With Guardians of the Galaxy, though, the silliness played into the movie in the way it was supposed to be, while still staying true to what it needed to be. Thor Love and Thunder didn't. James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy was nothing like the comic books. Think Empire Strike Back, which saw Gunn make buffoons out of the characters, including that awful dance-off bro moment at the end of the movie. Now, I have never read any of the Guardians of the Galaxy comics. I was never really a big fan to say I go and sit down and read all of them. I wasn't a fan to read it, and You know, from where I live and when I was younger, I wasn't able to get these sort of things, but I do know about them. I never really read the comics, I wasn't really interested. But again, as I say, I liked the movie, both of them. The second movie had some hiccups here and there. The first movie had a little hiccups here and there also, but I like the movie because I think the way that James Gunn structured it was good. It was done in a manner that, you know, it was silly but also silly to a point. So it had its moments to make sense. Likewise, Thor Love and Thunder bastardizes the concept of Thor. Oh, yes, it did. And comes off much more goofy and silly than anything Gunn did, and is downright insulting and just plain stupid. Yes, it really is. Regarding the Marvels being silly, which follows that post-credit scene featuring Brie Larson in the Marvels in her box office report about how Thor Love and Thunder box office is more bad news for the MCU. Popular YouTuber, well, mildly popular, I guess, Grace Randolph says she heard the Marvels is just as silly as Guardians of the Galaxy. I'd also like to add there are non-Marvel superhero stories out there right now that are blowing our socks off. We got The Boys. Oh, The Boys is going pretty good. I watched all 3 seasons of it. It's actually really good. If I had to describe The Boys, like I was telling a friend of mine, what I would say, it's like DC Comics on crack. And also we have the Batman, and I like the Batman. I would not say, I wouldn't say it's the greatest Batman movie I've ever watched. No, but I like the Batman. Reasons why I like the Batman is that you actually got this time around, Batman had to do some detective work, and I would love them to take that and continue moving forward with it, which are more serious and adult as Marvel gets more silly and family focused. I don't say it was the only thing about it because people got up during Thor Love and Thunder and walked out, so that should tell you. I just heard something about the Marvels which was so silly that I was shocked it wasn't in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I was like, what's that doing in the Marvels? I mean, I think that some movies should be silly and are very successfully silly, but I don't think they should all be silly. I agree with that. I agree with that. Some people felt Thor Love and Thunder was too silly. I am one of those people. I wouldn't say I thought it was too silly. I thought it was a total clown fest. That's what I think it was. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's hard to eat vanilla all the time, no matter how good it is, no matter how many great specks of vanilla bean are in it. You don't want to eat vanilla every week, and that's how much they're serving it these days. I can understand it, and I agree with that because it seems to be like they're just manufacturing the same process over and over. Everything needs to be a running joke. Everything needs to be ha 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 hee 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 hoo 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 ha ha. Instead of actually having movies that focus on your characters and tell good stories and have good action and draw people in, it's just everything had to be a joke. I like Thor Love and Thunder from a fan perspective, but well, to each their own. But business wise and from a filmmaking perspective, oh yeah, it's got major problems. I want the 4 hour cut, but Taika Waititi says he'll never deliver it. But then why did he film it? Is he like, yeah, I just wasted a lot of money filming additional 2 hours of content and hiring talent that I didn't use? I mean, I don't think that's the support of Disney that he thinks it is. Grace also didn't like the end of Miss Marvel, where it was revealed Kamala Khan is the MCU's first mutant. I don't think anybody liked that. Anybody like that. It have the Marvel shields will come out and try to say, well, you know the MCU, but I don't think anybody like that at all. And Grace also wasn't happy with the Brie Larson post-credit scene where she thinks Brie Larson looks too skinny for the role of Captain Marvel, as Brie Larson comes off looking more like an ultra thin supermodel than a superhero. Totally messes up the X-Men, but that's okay. Well, you know, the other thing she goes through here about stuff one than the other, but it's not really all that. It is say here's something with Brie Larson there. Okay. Now again, as I say, it's on this movie, the Marvels. I don't think it's going to do well at all. To be honest, which I don't think it's going to do well at all. I don't think Captain Marvel will play by Brie. I don't think Brie Larson actually captured Captain Marvel at all. I don't think anybody likes Captain Marvel, to be honest with you. That's one thing about it. Ms. Marvel did not work at all. It dropped out of the top 10. People don't like it. People didn't like the series at all. And people will argue and say all sorts of different things about it. Fine, that's your perspective to say as you please. Okay. But realistically speaking, the show wasn't good. It didn't develop the character and spent more time trying to say to you that you needed to love this show because this person is of this race and religion, other than the show actually being good. As for Monica Rambeau, again, as I say, MCU has done Monica Rambeau dirty. I won't go through the whole process of Monica Rambeau, but if you ever take some time to take a look at the history of Monica Rambeau and her influence in the Marvel universe that hasn't been used properly at all, because they could have done that with the MCU that gotten a really better overlook, but no, they didn't do that. So now we get Monica Rambeau coming in the Marvels, and it's not going to work overall. So you have three characters here that have been totally underutilized, two that nobody really likes, one that most people don't know about in Monica Rambeau, and overall, it's just and the final thing you're getting about that it's going to be another clown fest. Why do you think this is going to work? We put out the movie, people may go for the first week and watch it and stuff like that, but when word of mouth starts to spread, like what's happening with Thor Love and Thunder, it's going to fall off. People are not going to be interested to really say they're going and spend their money to watch something that doesn't even attempt to tell you anything that you need to know or entertain you in any way. Now, one other thing I want to touch on here is this article from Polygon. Thor Love and Thunder reminds queer fans exactly what Disney thinks they would. Apparently, they are upset that there wasn't more queerness in Thor Love and Thunder. Because as you know, the Rockefeller here, I think it's Korg is his name. I was talking about it with he apparently, he at the end of the movie he had some settled down with some rock man with a mustache or something, so and they had some rock baby. So that was that. And let's not forget we had King Valkyrie in it, and she spent a good 2 minutes talking with Korg about how and Korg mentioned how she girlfriend died and she feels she isn't gonna get love anymore, and then she had she wanted, to be honest with you, leading up to Thor Love and Thunder, they talked more about Valkyrie's sexuality than about the actual movie, and it just didn't work. And now all of a sudden you're upset that it didn't have more queerness in a movie that failed miserably from the get-go. So that's that. And apparently Brie Larson is too skinny and the Marvel's so silly. So again, as I said, this was the clip here from the end of Miss Marvel, and I thought she really did look a little too thin. But for a movie that is setting up to have a bunch of people in it that nobody really cares about, and you want to put in this, that's just sad. That is really sad. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell. Be notified every time I put out a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.